Okay, this is a video on how to rebuild a Volkswagen 1.6 liter non-turbo diesel fuel injectors. And it's the same process for the turbo diesel, they just have a higher bar pop rate, which I think is around 140 to 150. This is a good working one to show you how it works, how it's supposed to work. It's a nice mist and it's supposed to pop like that. And you can see it on the pressure gauge. When it pops, it's about 128, 29 bar, which is right where it's supposed to be. This is a homemade pop tester. You can look on the internet for instructions, or you can buy them for about $100. Not horribly expensive. But the only thing I did differently on mine is I did use a 2,000 psi gauge because I only need to go to 120 to 130 bar. So I wanted the accuracy at 2,000 psi versus a 3,000 or 5,000 psi. When you build these things, you want to, before you install them, after you check to make sure that they're working correctly, you want to make sure there aren't any leaks around here. And if there are, you need to disconnect it and tighten that down a little bit. These need to be tightened down to about 52 foot-pounds, and this is a 27 millimeter socket if you need to know that information as well. Okay, here's what they look like when they're disassembled. You got the nozzle, you got the bottom part of the injector, you got the nozzle holder, and then there's this little pin, and then there's the spring, and then there's the shim. And the shim is what regulates the pressure at which it's going to pop. And after you get it disassembled, I clean the whole thing off really well with carb cleaner, and then take a wire brush to this one and get the gunk and corrosion out of it. And then after that, I come over and you can see on this one how it's if I can get it in focus here. Let's see right there. You can see how it's kind of got some let's see. It's kind of dull looking, and it's got some little wear on the end of the nozzle holder here. And what you do is you take some 1500 grit and just lightly go back and forth wet on a piece of glass, because glass is a very flat surface, and just kind of hone it. Go back and forth couple times and then check it, and do that a couple times until you get all the crud off of it and get some of that marring down. You don't want to take all the way off, I don't think, because you'll probably lose some accuracy. And then you flip it over and do the other side as well and clean it, and then you'll go to 2,000 grit sandpaper and do the same thing. And you also want to do the upper housing, which is this right here. You can see you want to do this area here, same thing. Just kind of lightly hone it and get everything off of it. And what this does is help improve the seal when you put it back together, kind of like so. And this one over here is one that I've already done with 2,000. You can see maybe how much better it looks, how much shinier, and less scarring on it. And on this one the same, how much shinier. Then after that you then start the reassembly. The nozzles come in. Let's see if I can find a nozzle here. The nozzles come in this little plastic shroud here, and you want to wear gloves. You want to make sure everything's really clean before you, and just handle these fast enough to take them apart and shove them into their home. You can do, which I'm just doing a demo. Just put it in as fast as you can without touching as little of it as possible, so you don't contaminate or get any fluid, get any dirt or dust or anything in it. And then you can then reassemble it. And once you reassemble it, you want to torque it to it's about 52 foot-pounds, and then you stick it back in your pop tester to verify that it is working correctly. And like I said, you don't want to have any leaks here, and I'll show you what one looks like that's bad in just a second. I'll swap it out. Okay, this is a bad test. This is a bad injector here, and I'll show you how it's not supposed to work. See how it sprays like that? It's not supposed to do that, and it's supposed to pop like the other one. This one just barely pops. And if you look at the gauge here, it's popping about 118, 120 bar, which is below what it's supposed to. And so it needs to be rebuilt. You can get the shims if you have to increase the pressure or decrease the pressure. You can find those online, and there's various thicknesses to compensate for that. And I think that's pretty much everything.